Alright, so when we do a handstand, the main thing to really keep in mind is that, yes, it's called hand balancing, but you should never ever be balancing. Really, you should actually try to stay in control the whole time. But let's start from the bottom up. On the floor, obviously, we have our hands. We want to make sure that our hands are shoulder width apart. If you put them too wide or too narrow, and boys, your shoulders ain't that wide, okay? Right underneath the shoulders. If you put them too wide or too narrow, it's going to be bad pressure on your shoulders and on your elbows. You're just not going to be as strong. You won't have as much control. So hands shoulder width apart. We want to spread our fingers wide, as wide as possible. Imagine you have a big table and the table only has one leg. If that leg is like a little toothpick, the table's going to fall. If that leg is a big tree, that table's going to be stable. Same thing for your handstand. If you spread your hands wide, you have so much more to balance with. Hands gotta be facing the front. Don't turn them out. You're not a gymnast. All right? To the front. Elbows, they have to be locked. There's no way around it. As soon as your elbows bend, I know that your handstand is not good anymore. Okay? You're gonna be standing just with strength and not with technique. It's not gonna help you. Moving up, we come to the shoulders. The shoulders are the most important thing when it comes to your handstand. A handstand is won and lost in the shoulders. Anybody who tells you that it's about your core strength, he's lying. It's that simple. It's all about the shoulders. Now your shoulders, yes, everybody on the internet says we need to be open, we need to have this perfectly straight line. That's only partially true. You don't get this straight line from opening your shoulders. You gotta get this straight line from pushing up tall. You basically wanna try to cover your ears with your shoulders. In an ideal world, when you do a handstand, you cannot hear anything because your big shoulders are blocking your ears. I'm not a scientist and I'm not a doctor, so I didn't study anatomy my whole life. But what I can explain to you is your shoulder is a ball and socket joint, right? If my shoulders are down, we're here. When I'm like this is your shoulder joint. This is not stable, right? But if I push up, my shoulder blade, my scapula rotates, and the shoulder sits here. Now this is nice and stable. This is why it's so important that you're up here. It's not just for your straight body line, but it's also for injury prevention. If you're always doing your handstands down here and you're starting to hold them for longer, you're going to bruise your shoulder. You're going to feel super sore after training. But this is not because your muscles are sore, but because your joints are sore. All right? Pushing out tall helps with the control, but especially it's going to help with staying healthy. Moving up the chain, we get to the head. We need to look at our hands. Don't ever put your head on your chest. I know it feels like it's easier to get this straight shoulder line if your head is on the chest, but it's really only that. You're only getting a straight shoulder line. You're not pushing out tall anymore. We can actually all try this together right now. If you put your hands overhead and you look at your hands, you reach for the ceiling, you can get really tall. If you put your head on your chest and you reach up, you just don't get this tall. You feel it straight away. You have to look up to get as much height as possible. All right? You have to look at your hands. Please don't ever put your nose against the wall. It's not going to help you. Moving down the chain, get to the core. Obviously, the core needs to be engaged. You know, imagine you're a spaghetti, a half-boiled spaghetti. The bottom half is raw and the top half is boiled. It's still not going to stand. The whole spaghetti needs to be raw. Everything needs to be tight. Talking about everything being tight, after the core, we get to the glutes, quads, calf, feet. Everything needs to be tight and engaged. As soon as anything wobbles, you lost. To show you how this is actually going to look like in a handstand though, when you sink into your shoulders, I'm going to show you in a handstand. So, when we get up into a handstand, we want to have our elbows locked and we want to push out tall. We want to have our glutes engaged. If I sink into my shoulders now, you see what happens? They close, which means my back opens. Many handstands look like this. Yes, you can kind of balance like this, but it doesn't look good and it's not efficient. What we need to do is we need to lock the elbows and we need to push out tall. So we get a straight line. Lots and lots of people, when they see that banana handstand, they think, oh, I just got to do more abs to fix my position. That's not true. If I have a banana handstand, if I'm here and now I engage my abs and I fix my position, my handstand doesn't improve. You have to push out tall. You have to engage your glutes. All right? The last thing that I want to give you guys on the way for today is that your weight has to stay in the front of the hand. You need to keep the weight in the fingertips. It's like standing on your feet. If you're standing on your feet and the weight goes into the heels, you're balancing with your whole body. It's impossible. If your weight is in front, in the tippy toes, that's where you have control. You know, you see a boxer, they're here. You want to catch something heavy, you're going to be here. Never ever will you be back here. Same in your handstand. The weight needs to be in front, in the fingertips. So you don't want to be balancing with your whole body, you want to get control. And this is all the information I have for you today. You now know everything that you have to know about your straight handstands.